I've maxed out the Thievery skill and done all sorts of naughty things to make Groschen in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Here is everything you need to know about lockpicking, pickpocketing, stealth, and getting the best gear. Let's go! Let me know anything cool you've come across in the game in the comments down below. We'll start with some general stealth stuff, and then we'll get into some more specifics around lockpicking, pickpocketing, and a great way to cheat the system. Stealth in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is very similar to Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, but what that means is that there's a couple of stats you need to pay attention to. One of them being your visibility, and the other being noise. These are the primary two. Now, noise is definitely the main one. Now, depending on the clothes that you're wearing, you'll make a certain amount of noise. Say, for example, if you are wearing completely heavy armor with chainmail and all that good stuff, you will make a lot of noise. This is actually reflected in the sound that you make when you're just walking around the world. But that noise will draw the attention of guards, of dogs, of NPCs, of everyone if you are trying to sneak around at night. Now, conversely, if you take off all of that heavy armor and you're just wearing, say, some shoes, some pants, you don't even have to wear a shirt, to begin with, really, you'll be making significantly less noise, and it's much easier to stealth around in the dark because you won't be making that noise. Speaking of making noise, something to note is that Mutt will make noise and draw attention of guards and NPCs during the night because he does bark and just make noise and grumble around. So if you are trying to do some nefarious activity at night, make sure you make him stay, use that command to make him stay wherever you want him to stay, and he can stay there. Or you could actually use the bark command, which is one of his skills. Once you have unlocked that, you'll then be able to use bark to actually draw the attention of guards, say if they're blocking doors or something like that. Now, the other stat you want to pay attention to is visibility. So what that means is your armor, say if you're wearing shiny armor, or say you've got a white shirt on, something like that, your visibility will actually be higher because you're much easier to see in the dark. Whereas if you're wearing black clothes and all black, your visibility will be lower. That's reflective and important because when you're stealthing around at night, as you might expect, when it is, dark, you want to be less visible so you can stealth around without actually being seen. Now, because you probably don't want to have a torch out while you're doing this, right? Because torches will make you much more visible to people. You definitely want to be using the Nighthawk potion. Now, we did touch on how you can make this in my alchemy video. Go and watch that if you want some specifics. But if you use this potion, you'll actually be able to see in the night without actually having a torch, which is hugely beneficial. A couple of things to note before we get into the actual activities of stealing things is that if a NPC has dogs, you either want to have the dog's best friend perk that prevents them from barking or drawing attention to themselves if they see you, or if you don't have that perk, you can actually just drop some meat on the ground. When they see you, they'll eat it and then they'll calm down and leave you alone. NPCs will actually wake up if they do hear their dog barking or making noise, so pay attention to that. Another thing to note is that if you are opening and unlocking doors, make sure you close that door on your way through because NPCs will notice if a door is open that they remember locking. They will be aware of that, then they'll actually go and check their goods to see if anything was actually stolen. So closing those doors will prevent that from actually happening. The lockpicking minigame is very hard in the early game until you get not only some skills, which we'll touch on a couple of those, but also just your general proficiency. Now, what you need to do is move the cursor around until you find the window where the yellow dot is actually glowing, and then you just need to turn the lock and keep the dot in that window where it is glowing and follow it all the way around, and you'll unlock the door. That window of where it will be glowing gets larger the further you get into the game and the more your lockpicking skill goes up. So the more locks you open, the easier this becomes, especially for those very easy and easy locks. It does definitely become a lot easier. One of the very early game perks that you should be getting is the Silent Fiddler. This makes such a difference to prevent you from waking up NPCs when you fail a lockpick. Say if you break a lock or even just slip and have to start again, just preventing that noise from happening, very, very beneficial. Much later in the game, you'll be able to get the Master Thief perk, which will allow you to unlock very easy locks, just without actually going through the minigame, which does make a significant difference. Tool Master is also a great lockpicking perk, so your lockpicks are more durable and take longer to break, which will then also prevent you from making that noise as much. The Nightcrawler perk, by the way, is also fantastic for stealthing around at night. This will give you a bonus to your strength, agility, vitality, and to your stealth, making it significantly harder for enemies to see you when you are trying to do these nefarious activities. Pickpocketing, on the other hand, does take some significant time to actually get rolling because to pickpocket someone, you need to point your camera at their pouch. They do have a back and a front pouch. You need to point your camera there and then hold that rob button. And then the longer you hold that button for, the more time you will have to pickpocket them. Now, there's a balance to watching the color of that circle. If it goes red, it means they're very close to actually seeing you, and you want to hold that as long as you can, prevent them from actually seeing you, and and then it'll pop up the actual window where you can do some serious pickpocketing. Now, the timer that you'll see like around the circle, anytime you pick an item up, that timer will get less, and you'll essentially just need to choose and make that decision of what you can try and grab without them noticing, and then going out through the door at the top is important to actually take what you do have. Now, a perk that you really want to grab early on here is Rapid Flight. This is an amazing perk in the early game because very often you won't get a ton of time in that lockpicking minigame, and it's very hard to say grab something and then quickly go out through the door. This will give you a like cooldown where, say, every 3 minutes, if you fail going through that door, they won't notice you and there'll be like no punishment for it. It helps you get that skill up, helps you learn how to use a lockpicking as well. Now, a big tip that I did mention in another video, but it makes such a difference to this like entire stealing and doing these sort of activities, is the fact that when you go into a shop, right, they are going to have hard and very hard locks on their shop inventory chest as well as the shop doors. Something to note is that the traders and the NPCs that run these shops will have keys to those locks. Just like any other NPC in the game, NPCs in KCD2 always have keys to their specific doors and chests, and you can grab them and then you don't have to go through that lockpicking minigame. Now, something to note about pickpocketing is that there is no like hard, very hard, etc. for pickpocketing. Some people will notice you more or less, but if they're asleep, you have a much higher chance of being able to pickpocket them and steal their keys. How you can use this to your advantage is that NPCs often don't have these like hard and very hard locks on their like home front doors, or like say the door to their bedroom. They're typically like easy, very easy. You can pass that lockpicking check, sneak into their room, pickpocket the key from them, and then jump down to the shop, and you'll be able to open the shop door, open up that chest, steal literally everything you could possibly want, and you're essentially laughing. If you're wondering where you should try and steal the best stuff from, it is always going to be those shop vendors. They will have the most amount of stuff that you can steal, as well as like a store of groschen if you haven't like say sold a bunch of stuff to them and like bought all their groschen for that day. Typically like after a day or so, like their groschen stores will replenish, but you can just steal it from their chest, and the Kuttenberg vendors especially have the most groschen as well as the highest value gear that you can actually steal. Now, where should you sell those stolen goods? You definitely don't want to try and sell it back to those vendors unless you have the Hustler and the Partner in Crime speech perks. The Hustler one will make it easier for you to sell stolen gear for the most part here. Once you have that perk, most vendors will accept stolen gear. They just won't pay you as much for it. But Partner in Crime will literally allow you to steal gear off someone and then sell it straight back to them because no one will know. But there's also the Thieves' Eyes perk, which will allow you to see if an item is considered stolen where you are, like in the town and things you are. So if you've stolen a bunch of items from, say, town X, you can jump over to town Y, see if they're actually stolen, and then sell them there, as it's often better to sell stolen goods in different towns than you take them from until you get these later game perks that just make it significantly easier. And the last thing that I wanted to mention as well is there's a fun little detail that you can just drop goods, stolen or not, on the ground, and people will pick them up, they'll equip them if it's better than what they have, and yeah, it's just a fun little detail. You can help out those beggars, you can be a bit of a Robin Hood and just give them the best gear in the game. And it's just kind of funny to do. And also, if you have stolen a bunch of gear and you don't want to sell like women's clothes back to the vendors for like 20 groschen, which there's much better things to sell, just drop them on the ground and give them to someone else. Much easier. Also, be careful about wearing the stolen goods that you may have picked up in front of the person you stole it from, as they will definitely notice when you're wearing their clothes and they will confront you about it. Also tell guards as well. But that's everything I have for you today. Let me know any cool things you've come across in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.